हाय एवरीवन, मैं हूं आंचल पाठक और फाइव पैसा में आपका स्वागत है। मैं हमारी ऑडियंस को एक बिग थैंक यू बोलना चाहूंगी हमारे ब्रांड न्यू वेबिनार को ज्वाइन करने के लिए। इस सीरीज में हम इंडिया के सबसे एस्टैब्लिश स्टार्टअप्स के फाउंडर्स से बातचीत करेंगे और हम जानेंगे कि एक एंटरप्रेन्योर या फाउंडर बनने के लिए आपको किस टाइप का माइंडसेट रखना चाहिए, आपको कैसे स्ट्रगल फेस करने पड़ते हैं और कैसे डिसीजंस लेने पड़ते हैं। मुझे आज ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं अंबर पवरेजा, को फाउंडर ट्रेंडलाइन। अंबर आईआईटी कानपुर पास आउट है और इन्होंने अपनी एंटरप्रेन्योरियल जर्नी शुरू करने से पहले तेजस नेटवर्क्स और वेरिटास के साथ काम किया है। ट्रेंडलाइन की बात करें तो ये एक स्टॉक एनालिटिक्स प्लेटफॉर्म है जो रिटेल और इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर्स दोनों को केटर करता है। अंबर, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग अस टुडे। आई एम श्योर यू आर extremely busy, but thank you for taking out the time and joining our show today.
Nice to meet you, Anshul. It's a pleasure. Yeah, happy to
Uh,
come.
जी चलिए, हम इंटरव्यू शुरू करते हैं। सबसे पहला क्वेश्चन जो मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी अंबर, वो ये है कि यू आर समवन हु सीम्स टू हैव हैड अ वेरी सेटल्ड करियर। आपने अपनी इंजीनियरिंग बहुत प्रेस्टिजियस इंस्टीट्यूट से की है और आपने बहुत बड़े ब्रांड्स के साथ काम किया है। आपकी जो कंपनी थी अपनी खुद एंटरप्रेन्योरियल जर्नी शुरू करने से पहले तेजस नेटवर्क के साथ आपने 10 साल तक काम किया। तो आपको क्या लगता है कि आपने अपनी लाइफ में स्टेबिलिटी जो कहते हैं, क्योंकि एंटरप्रेन्योर होना इट्स नॉट एग्जैक्टली द मोस्ट स्टेबल जॉब इन द वर्ल्ड, तो ये सब स्टेबिलिटी कंफर्ट छोड़ के व्हाट मेड यू टेक द स्टेप टू बिकम अ फाउंडर?
So I think settled careers make for a great startup because आपके पास savings होती हैं, so you can utilize those savings to actually bootstrap yourself and take your idea to fruition. The other thing was, if you look at Tejas, I would consider कि Tejas was the first Indian product startup because back in 2000 there was no Flipkart, there was no other product company, and I joined Tejas. We were like 50-60 log the, and then by the time I left, it was a $1 billion company. And so there was a great amount of learning which happens when you join a company so early. So we took multiple products right from you know drawing board stage to uh, end of life basically, right? So saw the entire cycle over there, and so it was a no-brainer to actually do my own thing because everybody around me was entrepreneurial and my family is full of entrepreneurs, so it was a no-brainer. Actually, it was very straightforward for me.
वेल दैट साउंड्स ग्रेट कि आपके पास कुछ रेफरेंस था एंटरप्रेन्योर बनने के लिए। बट हमारी ऑडियंसेस को ये जरूर बताइए कि जब आपने शिफ्ट किया अपना करियर, तो टू बिकम एन एंटरप्रेन्योर आपको कुछ माइंडसेट एक्टिवली अपना चेंज करना पड़ा था? वाज देयर सम हैबिट्स दैट यू हैड टू अडॉप्ट या फिर कुछ ऐसी हैबिट्स थी जो आपको छोड़नी पड़ी थी?
So I think Achal, it's very specific to what you're doing actually. So Tejas primarily, is a networking company. So वहाँ पर we used to make routers and your switches and stuff like that. Whereas the Trendline is a B2C product largely, right? So I had to learn a lot of stuff from a technology point of view. So Trendline is completely built on something which I didn't know before I started, this company.
राइट।
So besides learning the technology, uh, Trendline is a B2C company, and so have to get into the head of your customer and find out कि आपकी जो aspiration है वो customer की requirement के साथ match करती है या फिर नहीं, right? You have to spend time understanding कि how are users interacting with your product. You have to be open to feedback. And then Trendline also does a lot of B2B sales, which was again something new for me. So it's about really building relationships, uh, you know, listening to feedback, listening to other people within the industry, and then acting on it. One, big change in mindset, which I think helped us a lot, was that you have to decide what kind of founder you want to be. And, do you want to be a founder which is market driven, uh, who are completely focused on your MAUs, KPIs, or do you want to build a company which has sustainable growth, and that forms the bulk of your product. And so we went for the latter. We went for organic growth. And so as a founder, I think it depends upon the area that you're targeting. Uh, but largely, I think listening to people and then acting on it has always helped.
Right. Even if you're not, then you have to become a bit of a people person, try to network a little more, try to get to know what the customer has in their mind, definitely. ट्रेंडलाइन की और बात करते हैं, कंपनी की इंस्पिरेशन, कंपनी को सेटअप करने की इंस्पिरेशन आपको कहाँ से मिली, हमें थोड़ा बताइए.
Right. So I have always invested in startup, sorry, in stock market. Right. So I started very early. I think right from my second or third paycheck. Started with 80 CCC wale jo mutual fund hote hain, and then you have no other choice but to sort of look at more interesting avenues. And so one thing that you very quickly realize is the difference or the gap in information which is available to institutional investors versus retail investors like me, right? So you have institutional investors who have access to terminals which cost upwards of $30,000 per year, versus retail investors who really before 2008 2009 they barely had access to uh, any kind of information available. So we wanted to bridge this gap. Trendline wanted to bridge this gap between what is available to the retail users. And so the way we started about it was that we wanted to build simplified scores which would help people choose good stocks, but more importantly also help them avoid bad stocks. Because if you just remove the stocks which have made big losses for you, that itself is a big help.
Right.
So if you look at Trendline, our focus has been largely on serious investors who want to spend time, who want to do it yourself, do it themselves. So our focus has been building on high tech products like screener systems, back testing, real time alerts, as well as a simplified framework, something like SWOT, which is available, strength, weakness, opportunities, threats, which is available for every stock, checklists. So these are essentially gateways. It's a funnel. You start with a score, you look at SWOT, you look at checklist, and then you go deep down and you spend time researching for new stocks. And then we have a world-class portfolio analysis tool, which is used by multiple family offices. So essentially, Trendline is about bringing institutional grade uh, analytics products to the retail users. So that has been the core principle behind what we're trying to do.
राइट. और इंडस्ट्री में स्टैंड आउट करने के लिए कुछ ऐसे स्टेप्स आप लेते हैं जिससे आपका प्रोडक्ट दूसरे प्रोडक्ट से डिफरेंट बने रहे.
Right, yes. So सबसे पहली चीज जो हम लोगों ने की थी was a data engine. So in fact, half of it was written by me, and then Ketan, who was also there in the beginning, he was our lead. He also contributed to it. So this data engine really forms the core of what Trendline does. So the idea is कि आप different types के information streams इस data engine को भेज दीजिए, and this data engine powers everything else that we have built, whether it be the screener system, SWOT, real-time analytics. Everything is actually built on that data engine. And so we were very lucky to actually build a framework on which other products can be built. Uh, the other thing that we have, uh, which sort of differentiates us from the other people in the industry, competitors, is the sheer width, the breadth, and the depth of products. So it's not as if people don't have a screener system, right?
Right.
But the screener systems that they have is 160 parameters, maybe 200 parameters if you're lucky. We have 1600 parameters, right? Nobody else has backtesting features on built on the top of these screeners. Real-time alerts is all again something which none of our customers have. So what we have really done is we have uh, it's not so when you're in stock investing, it's not that people want just one thing, right? They want a buffet of things,
Hmm.
right? So a person who's wanting MF will want to move to stocks at some point of time. Somebody who has portfolio would want to hedge their portfolio and do options also, right? So we've concentrated not just on the on marketing our features, but actually we spend a lot of time building a suite of products and giving depth to it. Uh, the third thing I think, which has again been very important, is that we have relied completely on organic growth. So we have not spent too much money in marketing, and that again is a differentiating aspect between how Trendline approaches you know uh, our company versus other companies.
राइट। फंडिंग की बात करते हैं, आपने मेंशन किया था कि जब आप एक सेटल करियर में होते हो तो आपके पास सेविंग्स होती हैं टू पोर दैट इनटू योर स्टार्टअप, यू कैन बूटस्ट्रैप इट। सो टेल अस समथिंग, ट्रेंडलाइन की इनिशियल फंडिंग कहाँ से आई थी? एंड सेकेंडली, एज अ फाउंडर आई एम श्योर काफी जो एस्पिरेंट्स होंगे जिनको अल्टीमेटली एंटरप्रेन्योर बनना है, वो जरूर जानना चाहेंगे कि जब आप किसी इन्वेस्टर को पिच करते हैं तो आपको क्या क्या चीजें ध्यान में रखनी चाहिए टू मेक इट अ सक्सेसफुल पिच?
या तो या इनिशियली हम लोग बूटस्ट्रैप थे, 2 ढाई साल हम लोगों ने खुद जो प्रोडक्ट बनाया, द कोर ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट वाज इंटायरली built from our own savings, and subsequently SIPL and IIFL have been our lead investors from the beginning. See, as far as फंडिंग इज कंसर्न, हम लोग को अपने एक्सपेक्टेशंस थोड़े अलाइन करने पड़ते हैं इन्वेस्टर्स के एक्सपेक्टेशंस के साथ, राइट?
Right.
So you have a narrative in your head which you want to sell, right? And uh, not every investor is interested in your narrative. So आपको जो है एक right investor choose करना है जो who's interested in what you're building. Correct. Who is interested with the kind of growth trajectory that you are trying to pursue? या फिर who are industry insiders who can actually understand what you're talking about. Let's see, the age of easy wins is over, right? Uh, एक दो फ्लिपकार्ट हो सकते हैं, ओला, there can be Ola, Uber. There are only these are all products where there are duopolies, right? So if you have Nykaa, ठीक है, एक और Nykaa you can open up, but you can only have Nykaa, Misho, and the third one is very difficult. You've seen what's happened with Myntra. All the other competitors have gradually disappeared, right? And so there are only a certain number of very obvious things that you can copy, successful things which you can copy from other markets. Right. So the startups which you're seeing right now are very, very niche, right? They're not mass market. Uh, and I think we've done well on the SaaS front as far as Indian startups is concerned.
Right.
So that's my advice. Find the right investor, and look at it from their perspective, whether they are really interested in you. And it's more about alignment. If you reach out to 50 investors, I mean 49 of them are not going to be interested in you simply because it doesn't align with what you're doing. It's got nothing to do with what you're doing
Yeah,
right
the
or
product.
wrong or that sort. Yeah.
Right. और अपनी स्टार्टअप जर्नी में आपका सबसे बड़ा, आपका और आपके को फाउंडर का सबसे बड़ा स्ट्रगल आज तक क्या रहा? एंड इज देयर समथिंग दैट यू वुड वांट टू चेंज इन योर जर्नी?
So, so first of all, when you're doing a technology startup, आपके पास people are really nice. Okay, the ecosystem is really good. So, for example, we got hooked onto the NASCOM warehouse. The introductions they made, they बिल्कुल right set of help, right set of discussions. Then we were a part of Oracle Accelerator. Again, top-notch people, who are willing to go out of the way to actually help you, right? But what you struggle with as far as a tech startup is concerned is hiring when you have a limited budget. So when you're trying to hire good people and convince them to work with you when you are a team size of 5, 6, 7, it's extremely hard to actually hire good people. And I'm not talking about retention. So retention has been good for us. We've always had people who stayed a very long time with us. But getting them onboarded is a challenge. And when Trendline was coming up, it also coincided with the startup boom, and especially the COVID era. It was horrible to
Right.
really get the right set of people. We have an excellent team, so we've been very conscious of that fact. So we've always, not tried to fill tables or chairs or whatever. Everybody who's working with us, we've got a top-notch team, and I don't know what I could have done or what we could have done differently about hiring. I think, Anshul, we tried everything. Okay, and things have become easier only in the past, 15, 12 months, 15 months. We are right sized right now. We've, uh, luckily, when everybody has been laying off, we were hiring, so we've doubled our team size in the past 12 months, 15 months. So
I
I'm,
guess
I'm really glad that time has passed me. I don't know. It was really difficult because you want to do so much stuff, but you don't have, and you have the budget for it,
right.
but you're just not getting the right set of people.
I'm guessing it also takes time for the company to reach a certain level and a certain level of stability where people are like, yes, this is where I'm going to be, and this is my future for the next couple of years. So,
Yeah, right. I mean, we were always profitable, but
right.
it doesn't. Yeah, you're right. People have to see sort of you as being something that they want to work with.
They want to work with. But if I'm not wrong, then tech is tech is an industry which in any case has a huge churn in terms of attrition and people jumping jobs from one place to another. So definitely I can imagine that that must have been quite a struggle. So,
Yeah, so they were churning, elsewhere. Nobody was churning in our favor. So we were able to retain people. So that was the only saving grace. Nobody was leaving us.
right. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Definitely. So talking about the future, what are Trendline's future plans?
So, we've always been very, very focused on the way ahead. And what we did was we did a bunch of research, and the way we have built our entire product suite is that you can take it anywhere. Just feed more data feeds into the data engine, and the same product that you have available in India is now available, in US, UK, Canada. And by that, what I mean is currently we have data for NSE and BSE exchanges. So currently we are focused on launching Trendline for NYSE, Nasdaq, London Stock Exchange, and Toronto Stock Exchange. So basically, we are targeting Trendline feature set or a product suite for three geographies, which is US, UK, Canada. That is one big thing which we are working on, and we have recently launched, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks back, our transactions product, which is called Starfolio. So till now, Trendline has been a research company. So you can use Trendline Analytics software to research, to do alerts and stuff like that. But we've closed the loop now. So you do your research.
Right.
So earlier on, you did research and you monitored on Trendline, but you couldn't execute on Trendline. So now we have hooked up our services or our used APIs of 6, 7 brokers. So you can actually do research, buy and sell on Trendline, and then also monitor. So it's a closed loop system basically, a tight loop which we have been able to create. But
Right.
I'm very excited about the global launch. We've been able to build a very good product. Costs are lesser in India. The data feeds are cheaper in India. So we've been able to do it at a low cost, and in another 2, 3 months, we'll be launching these features.
Well,
Uh,
congratulations. काफी exciting
let's
plans
launch
लग रहे
first and then
हैं. Then definitely. Then we'll have
Yeah,
another Zoom meet where I'll say congratulations.
absolutely. Yeah. Give me 6 months and then we can meet again.
Sure. So, पर्सनल फ्रंट की बात करते हैं. ऑब्वियसली काफी प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में काफी सारे बड़े गोल्स हैं जो अभी आप इनिशिएट करेंगे. व्हेन इट कम्स टू द पर्सनल फ्रंट, how does a founder maintain a work life balance, और क्या हॉबीज हैं आपकी जिनमें आप इंडल्ज करते हैं जो आप मेंटेन कर भी सकते हैं कि नहीं? हमारे ऑडियंस को थोड़ा सा आइडिया दीजिए प्लीज.
So I think by and large, I think I realized very early that the differentiating factor, people might say a lot of things, but it's actually hard work which becomes a differentiated factor. And I have worked for Veritas, Tejas, and so I always worked long hours. So by and large, I have continued to do that. But what I really do is that I work on weekdays and I try not to work on weekends altogether. Okay, so I might be putting, 14 hours, 16 hours Monday to Friday, but on Saturday, Sunday, I make a conscious effort not to do too much, right? Also, if I don't have time to take long vacations, I sort of, I compensated by doing multiple shorter vacations. So Friday off ले लिया या फिर
Right.
Monday off ले लिया, and then you go somewhere close by, which you can do a good job at, 3 days instead of 2 days. Kind of thing. So work-life balance, I think I like working hard, so I don't mind, and it has worked out well. Uh,
That's
what was your
actually
next question? Yeah, you were saying.
hobbies.
Hobbies. So, unlike other founders, I don't read any non-fiction. I read only fiction, and so mostly it's science fiction, interspersed by with some, Pulitzer winning or National Book Award winning stuff. So mostly, I follow a staple of, whatever. So right now I'm doing Martha Wells, Adrian Tchaikovsky, and
Wow.
Peter Hamilton. I'm a big fan of David Mitchell, so I just finished his Utopia Avenue. Uh, all my non-fiction learning or reading, and I mean, our founder needs it, is entirely through podcasts. So
Okay.
I don't mind the Bangalore traffic that much because there's always a podcast playing for me. So I'm well entertained, and I don't feel as it being lost time because these are really good podcasts. So, my favorites are Radio Lab, which is a science podcast, and Malcolm Gladwell has a couple of podcasts, and then This American Life. So
Right.
things like that.
I
And
think
yes, I do manage to play as well. I play squash twice a week. So
right.
yes, it's a well balanced diet.
आई थिंक आई वुड से कि आप एक पहले फाउंडर है जिन्होंने इतने सलीके से अपने जो हॉबीज हैं वो बताए हैं हमें बिकॉज यूजुअली सो मेनी टाइम्स अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल दैट आई स्पीक टू कम अप विद हाँ ओ यस वी आर वर्किंग बट व्हेन वी गेट टाइम वी डू अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ दिस वी डू अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ दैट बट आई थिंक considering how busy you are, I think it's great, and I think it's a compliment to you and how you manage your time, where you're also able to pay so much attention to work as well as to your hobbies, and that's something that one should never let go of. So
So I get busy with my hobbies also. So I'm
yeah,
very, very focused. When I'm doing work, I focus towards work. When I'm doing hobbies, then I'm doing.
that's actually a great way. And I think a lot of people sort of underestimate that. And even when they start working, even young people, when they start working, so they're not able to find a balance. And I think that's something that we should definitely learn from you. So now, next, before we close the interview, I have a very quick rapid fire round. So are you ready for it?
Sure, done.
Okay, cool. So here we go. Agra or Bengaluru?
So I have stayed in Bangalore more than anywhere else. So I
Right.
would say Bangalore. So I consider it home. So that's a no-brainer. I think Bangalore is my
Lovely.
home.
इसका जवाब हमारे पास ऑलरेडी है बट आई एम गोइंग टू आस्क यू रीडिंग और नेटफ्लिक्स
Sorry?
रीडिंग और नेटफ्लिक्स
Both actually. So not so much as Netflix. I'm a big fan of HBO shows.
राइट
But I know exactly like you. It's people use Netflix as Xerox right nowadays. So yes, both streaming as well as reading. So reading is on Kindle just before I go off to sleep. But I love TV shows. So I watch a lot of TV as well.
दैट्स ग्रेट एक एंटरप्रेन्योर में ऐसी क्या थ्री क्वालिटीज होनी चाहिए आपके हिसाब से
So a French Open just finished, and they have this thing written on their stadium, which is about tenacity. So I think tenacity makes up for a lot of things. And the other thing is being open with you know feedback. You should be able to incorporate it into your own system, your own belief system, your own instincts.
वी नीड वन
Third one,
मोर
I think, would be to be able to handle stress. I think. So,
डेफिनेटली व्हाट्स द मोस्ट अंडररेटेड थिंग अबाउट बीइंग अ फाउंडर
so I think everybody would agree that it's the satisfaction of having instinctively feeling that something would work, and then taking it to fruition and then seeing the payoffs.
And what's the most overrated thing about being a founder?
So most overrated. So
Hmm.
I think there's nothing special about being a founder or being an entrepreneur in India. I mean, if you look around you, right, India is by and large an entrepreneurial country. We've had not too many big companies, right? And so even if you look at, there's no like, even now there is no big Walmart in India, right? It's all mom and pop stores, and they're all entrepreneurs. So I don't think there is anything, special about being the phrase entrepreneur or founder itself. I think is a bit overrated in India.
Right. So, last question. What is the one advice that you would like to give to an aspiring founder or an entrepreneur?
So I think we touched upon it a little bit earlier. So I think what I would recommend to everyone is that they need to gain some experience outside before you start something of your own. So I don't know. So media tends to color things a little differently. I don't think that very young people uh, have a good success rate at starting, doing something or building a startup from
Right.
scratch. So for every success story, there are more than 999 uh, failures. So I think experience. There's nothing you can beat experience. So get some experience before you start something of your own. The other thing which I think we've become very good at now is to do deep research before we build something, uh, and that is something we should have done much earlier. I mean, we were doing it, um, but with not so much diligence as we do now. So that has been a great learning for me. But by and large, you don't know what you don't know. So uh, just trust your instincts, but do the homework. I think that's about it.
Right, Amber, that's it for now. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks.
And काफी इंटरेस्टिंग इंटरव्यू था। आपने अपने पूरी लाइफ के बारे में, अपने जर्नी के बारे में हमारे साथ काफी कुछ डिस्कस किया है, एंड वी आर क्वाइट थैंकफुल फॉर दैट। ऑल द बेस्ट फॉर द नेक्स्ट प्लान्स जो भी ट्रेंड लाइन के हैं, एंड पर्सनल टू। एंड वंस अगेन थैंक यू सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग। सी यू सून।
Thanks so much, Anshul. Bye.